What's up guys, Matt Monis here, and in my hands I have the Pebble Time Steel. Now I've been using this as my daily smartwatch for about a month to a month and a half. I actually backed their Kickstarter campaign, so I bought this with my own money, and I want to give you guys my opinion on whether or not you should buy this thing. Now this is not going to be a full in-depth review, but more of a mini review with my thoughts on the features that I liked and disliked, and I'm going to sum it up on whether or not you should go out there and buy this product. So let's get started. The Pebble Time looks much better than the original Pebble. It's thinner and curves nicely around your wrist. The body of the Pebble is made out of steel with a glass panel on top that's surrounded by a metal bezel. Inside of that metal bezel is another large black bezel that surrounds the actual 1.25-inch color e-paper screen. On the right side, you have 3 tactile buttons that are thick and solid, and they're used to control your timeline. The top button allows you to go back in time, and the bottom to see what's coming up in your calendar. The middle button lets you access your watch's main menu, which has options to change settings, view your notifications, and set up your alarm. And finally, on the other side is another button that lets you enable or disable quiet mode to prevent your watch from notifying you of any incoming notifications. Perfect for when you're sleeping. The Time Steel also happens to be waterproof up to 30 meters, which is great for taking a dip in the pool or hopping in the shower. The benefit of wearing it is that you can constantly control your music even when you're wet. Another new feature is the addition of a microphone, which wasn't present in the original. You can't talk to another person, but you can use it to respond to SMS, Hangouts, WhatsApp, and a few other chat services on Android. Unfortunately, on iOS, you're just limited to Gmail. However, Pebble did release a new dictation API that will allow developers to build apps that take advantage of it, so it is quite possible to see that list grow in the near future. And if you're wondering, the voice recognition is extremely accurate. So accurate that I'm surprised it's not using Google Now. Overall, the Pebble Time Steel is definitely a big improvement over its predecessor, but at the end of the day, it still looks inexpensive and nerdy. Those big black bezels that surround the screen are a complete eyesore, and it frustrates me that they couldn't get rid of it and replace it with more screen real estate. And speaking of the display, it's now color, which is great, but it's still the same resolution as the original Pebble. The colors are washed out and the viewing angles are not that great. I found myself constantly having to bring the screen as close to my face as possible or shake my wrist to turn on the backlight, which by the way sometimes takes a lot of shaking just to turn on. But all's not lost. The wristbands are interchangeable, and even though the Pebble Time Steel itself doesn't come with GPS, Pebble says that future wristbands might have GPS incorporated directly into the wristband. This would essentially make the Pebble Time a little bit modular, and you can buy different wristbands to do different things. Maybe one for GPS, maybe another set of wristbands to actually improve the battery life, even though it's already great already, and who knows what else they could come up with. The one thing that the Pebble does well is make simple software, and I feel the Pebble Time has the simplest operating system on a smartwatch, a central place to access your notifications, system functions, alarm clock, and apps and a timeline that keeps you up to date to past and present events. But the one thing it doesn't have is the newer features that the Android Wears and the Apple Watch have. You can't connect to a wireless network and still receive notifications without being connected to your smartphone, or even use Google Maps to get turn-by-turn directions. It's simply used for one thing only, and that's simple notifications. The software itself is not a significant improvement from the original Pebble. It has a few new animations, it has that new timeline, it's also backwards compatible so you can still use apps from your old Pebble, but it still looks very retro and it kind of reminds me of the 80s, and I'm really not sure if that's a good thing. But the one thing that the Pebble has that other smartwatches don't is the amazing battery life. It takes about 1.5 hours to charge the watch from 0%, and it uses a USB cable with a magnetic charging port at the other end. I was able to get anywhere from 5 to 7 days of use, which is a few days less than the 7 to 10 Pebble claims. Either way, it's a great feeling considering most other smartwatches only last 1 to 2 days. I already have to worry about plugging in my smartphone every night. Adding another device is sort of annoying. So far, we have a few good reasons to buy the Pebble Time Steel, but a lot more negative ones, and I'm going to add another negative to that list. You see, like I mentioned before, I was the original backer of the original Pebble, and I used the product, I loved it, I love the fact that it came out before Android Wear and Apple Watch, and I was able to get notifications to my wrist. But after about a month or about 2 months of using it, it started to malfunction. Every time I received a notification or browsed through the menus, the screen would start to distort. So I reached out to Pebble. Eventually they sent me a new device, Things worked great for a little while, and then the exact same issue happened again. At first, I thought it was the smartphone I'm using, but I go through smartphones faster than a baby changes diaper, so it possibly can't be it. Anyways, fast forward today, I bought the Pebble Time Steel, and the exact same thing is happening again. But I did notice one thing that happened between all three different scenarios. One thing that was consistent. The issues started happening when I switched from Android to iOS. So I'm not sure if it's an actual hardware malfunction or if there is something that causes the phone to have these screen distortions issues when you're switching between platforms. Either way, I hope Pebble fixes it because it's been a very poor experience on my part. So with that out of the way, here's what I liked and disliked about the Pebble Time. I love the fact that it has amazing battery life and you don't have to charge it for about 7 to 10 days. And I also love the fact that it's viewable outdoors in direct sunlight. When you have this screen always on, you don't have to worry about shaking your wrist to actually see the time or any of the notifications that come in. Now, what I didn't like was the fact that it's very limited on iOS. I feel if you want the best experience from the Pebble Time Steel, you really need to use it with an Android device. And finally, I still think the watch looks very nerdy and inexpensive, and I really dislike the screen to bezel ratio. I think there's way too much bezel, and it's a shame that they can't fill it up with more screen real estate. So I wonder what you guys think of the Pebble Time Steel. I know for me, I have a hard time recommending it to people just based on my poor experiences. I want to know what you like and dislike about it in the comments below, whether you have one or not. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, make sure to smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. And as always, I will see you in the next video.